Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Here on the Sheenapreneur channel, I share information about government contracting, veteran business content, and other business tips. What's going on, everyone? This is Sheena, aka Sheenapreneur, your favorite veteran. And I had to do like a jump back because last time we weren't on YouTube Live and we did a different interview with Brent Archie of Archie Supply. And his gems were like so gemming that I said we got to bring him back and do like a part 2. So Brent, I want you to go ahead and just introduce yourself, introduce your company, and how I'm going to explain how we met and everything like that. So let us know your name of your company, when you got started.
All right, fantastic. Good evening, everybody. Brent Archie. I'm the CEO of Archie Supply. We're a janitorial, medical, and office supply company located in North Carolina. However, we serve all 48 contiguous states, and we have 54 warehouses all throughout the United States, as well as manufacturing in South America and overseas as well. 6.5 year U.S. Coast Guard veteran, and just happy to be here. So thank you so much.
Okay, I hope that echo. It's a little mic check, mic check. Okay, we're gonna work through it. So what's funny is, you know, Coast Guard is like, I only know maybe 2 Coast Guards in my whole life, right?
Okay. When you meet us, it's a pleasure, you know.
He's like, look, we're exclusive, right?
Exactly.
So I actually met Brent at a Veterans Edge conference back in what, maybe 2019 or something like that.
Yeah,
and he was the only Coast Guard representative, and he was proud too. He was like, right here, and I say, okay, yo, that's fly, because you know some people are just weird about certain things and what branch they served in. We're all brothers and sisters in arms. But you know, when I met him, he was at, I want to say maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, like $250,000, and he was like, yeah, I do office supplies, and I was like, what you mean, like office supplies, $250,000? Like what? You mean like pens and paper? And he was like, yeah. And we deliver efficiently and effectively, and that's what our differentiator is. And I was like, oh my God, like say what now? That's like, that is absolutely amazing. And so, you know, that's what really drew me to him. And we kept in contact over the years, going to the Veterans Edge conference. I'm trying to get him to come to some other conferences too. But, you know, over the years, just really keeping up with him, because and his success has grown tremendously. And for those who have looked at the banner, you see my boy was like, look, I asked him, how much is the most you made in this period of time? And I almost fell out my chair. Almost fell out my chair.
It's there for you. It's there for you.
Look, let's get to that. Okay, let's get to that contract that's on the banner, which was, you made, what was it, 2.3 million?
Oh yeah, once everything was said and done, it closed out about that much. Yeah. So it started at 1.8, and we were able to renegotiate in the middle of the contract because they wanted delivery so fast. What's that?
What was it for?
Oh, pens. If anyone can do it. Yeah, just a little writing utensil, just changing the world out here. Yeah, right. So I might have one, but either way, like I said, just something simple. And I think I said it last time on your other podcast. Oh, I do have one.
Yeah, sure. These are the $1 million pens right here. These are the like multi-million-dollar pens.
Hey, if you see it, it might be too.
It's a little blurry.
Yeah, I don't know if it's showing up all the way, but yeah, if you see it on eBay, I voted in the 2020 election pins. It's going for like $17 to $25 right now. I ain't selling to the state for that price, but man, if I would have, you know.
His pens are still famous, yo. That's what he said. He said, look, the pens are still famous. That's him.
I'm out here selling democracy, you know what I'm saying? So like, and I mean, even if you go vote in North Carolina right now, they're still using these pens in the election room. So I don't know. It's refreshing every time I run into them. I'm like, oh, there's my pride and joys right there. You know what I'm saying? So it's a beautiful feeling.
I love it. And don't forget to hit that super chat, yo. That's the little box in the corner, okay, with the $sign. Go ahead and hit that super chat, because he's gonna be dropping some gems on y'all, for real. So I want to make sure that didn't go over y'all's head. This man did put a logo, put a sentence on pens, and sold $2.3 million worth of pens in less than 2 months. So everyone says, yeah, you need to have differentiators. All that stuff is sexy or whatever. But really, at the end of the day, respectfully, it's pens. You know what I mean? So it's like you want to start off simple, but that's not the way you started off, though.
No, not at all.
Share your story of when you started off. I believe that first story was you with the VA.
No, yeah. No, it was a Department of Justice in Miami. So the very first contract we ever won, it was for sport kits. And this was I started my company back in 2016. And it took us a little while. We did all our own registrations. I figured out how to do all the set asides myself. I never paid anybody to do any of that stuff for us. I mean, you can go that route, but I'd highly recommend you figure it out yourself. If you can fill out a form for an application for a job, you can do the application for a registration. I'll put it to you like that. Now from there, we started putting in different contracts, and originally we started off as a company called Archie Farms, and we were selling like fertilizer, but I'll get into that a little later. But our very first contract was with the Department of Justice in Miami. We sold sport kits, and it was like an order for I think 3 million sport kits, and that's the sport with the salt and pepper packet and a napkin. And
sport.
Sport.
Like the spoon and the fork combined.
Spoon fork. There we go.
Got you.
So I was driving one of my friends because at the time, a little bit more background about me. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I bought my first big business, if you will, was a tax franchise in my senior year of college. I used some of my money from the Coast Guard to go buy a franchise while I was still in my senior year of undergrad. And I let it grow while I was still on active duty and everything like that. So if anyone tells you can't run a business while you're on active duty, hey, they're not telling you the truth. But I'll say it was comfortable when I got off of active duty. I ran into a little situation where one of my managers stole one of my computers and put me back in debt about $500,000. But like I said last time on this podcast, you can rob a lot of people in the world, but you can't rob the IRS. They will find you and they will hunt you down. So that's what happened to her. And she got some shiny bracelets and did her thing. She got to go hang out in the adult timeout or whatever they do with people. But it was crazy because they hunted her down. And my whole thing was, it was funny because she tried to be like, oh, well, Brent put me up to. I'm like, ma'am, I've been in the same location versus you just bought your husband a Corvette. You just got a Scat Pack. You bought some Yorkies. You got an iPhone and an Android, and you taking lavish vacations. But I'm still wearing the same clothes, doing the same stuff. Anyways, long story short, right. She got a nice jumpsuit, so it is what it is. But she turned on her brother, everybody. It was a whole mess. Anyways, I say put me back in the hole about $500,000. I just got off of active duty, so I was still trying to figure out my disability parts and all that stuff. And rent was due at the time. I think I had a 3-year-old, so yeah, diapers ain't cheap, man. So I looked into the whole contracting world because even while I was on active duty, I used to see these little stock tickers and stuff like Boeing got a contract for $1 billion for an airplane part or something like that. And I mean, I don't know anything about airplanes, but I'm like, there's got to be something I can sell. So anyways, started doing my registrations, and the very first contract we won, like I said, was for 3 billion sport kits in a prison in Miami. And from there, I actually took $100 loss. So I think it came out to like $7,600 and something like that. And I took $100 loss on it. But that $100 that I took as that loss was like the greatest $100 I've ever spent, because it gave me what a lot of people try to find is a past performance. And a lot of people struggle once they get into this game of having past performance. If you don't have it on the government side, what I would tell you to do is, if you've done it on, a commercial side, if you sold to your aunt, if you sold to whoever, just say like, hey, I've sold this many units to domestic markets, or however you need to phrase it to make it make sense. But at the end of the day, you have some form of past performance, unless you're just brand new starting a business. But even they make some sales to some friends, talk to people. You shouldn't have to rely on your very first contract to really get this going. In retrospect, but again, that's $100 I spent because not only did I gain a happy customer, and he's actually helped me on a couple other contracts when you need references down the road, but it was a lot to just understand the whole supply chain of everything and making things work. And then from there, we won a couple more contracts, like in the 20, 30K range. And then to your point, what you were talking about with our VA contract, that was our first 6-figure contract. And that was about 2019. So between 2016 is when I started, but I wasn't completely serious about everything. Like I was still, trying to make stuff work and, trying to figure out my life and figure out what is contracting,
Right.
But when I started getting serious about stuff, 2019 is when we were like, whoa, 100K.
6 figures, baby. What? 6
Right.
figures.
Yeah. Y'all sure y'all got the right people. This is my email, right? Y'all ain't send this to the wrong Archie, Archie Services, Archie Supply at the same time. Yeah. So I was actually at my business partner's wedding in Greece, like right before we got this contract. And I mean, even though he's getting married, he was like, you couldn't tell him this wasn't the happiest day of his life. Like, he got his wife and stuff, but like, sure, you got 100K coming and everything's making sense. And so that's when we really projected and went into this full time. Because at the time too, I was doing school and just doing some kind of odd jobs. And then from 2019, 2019, that's when we started winning like even bigger contracts, like a couple $250,000 ones, and then $500,000. Then, like I said, then the PIN contract came along.
Let me pause you right there because he's giving you everything. Look, y'all need to start asking some questions. Feel free to ask questions at any time, and we'll just kind of pause and ask those questions. And also don't forget that super chat because like Brent is a gem, like for real, for real. He is. So he has a wealth of knowledge, even outside of government contracting. He did share that on our last interview. Spectacular individual. So, ask the questions while he's here because look, I may not be able to get him for real. Like I had to beg for this second interview. I was like, please, we need you out here in the free world. So I may not get him. And it's just like trying to get Oprah. You're like, yo, I had a chance to have Oprah, and that's Brent. So ask the questions while he's here, and don't forget to hit that super chat. All right. So your first contract you said was like a local contract, and then you eventually kind of went over to federal, but you've done federal and local interchangeably, like just whatever is kind of available.
Right. Federal, state, local municipalities, school systems. And honestly, if I have to recommend anyone to do anything, start local if you can. I mean, be applicable. It's one of those things, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
But if you can, I would definitely recommend trying to start off with your local business.
Now, local means like you mentioned, the city, the county, state level, school system level. So everybody knows that's what local is. Now it's still considered government contracting, but it's, the paperwork is different. The registrations are different. You register as a vendor, all those things. So just remember that is also something that you can do. And that's how he started. And that may have went over your head when he said the $100 that he's essentially spent. He was awarded a contract for how much was it? You said
let's say $7,600 or something like that. It was less than $8,000. So
less than $8,000, but basically he won the contract, and that gave him past performance. And he basically paid. It's like paying a consultant $100,
right?
But he got the real like experience that he can actually put on paper somewhere else. So okay, we got one question. Shawnee, did you have vendor credit for your first contract?
No. So we
you didn't hear this man say that he was already rich before he started. He was already at like someone took 500,000. He was still kicking.
Hey, you ain't gonna put me down. Look, no matter what, like if I lose it all, I'll get it back. Like I'll come back harder, and that's my mindset with all this stuff. And I'm not one of the people that's saying you got to be ultimately religious or super spiritual, but believe in something, or you'll fall for a lot of stuff out here. But no, I actually had a business partner, and we were able to just put it on some credit cards and make it work off of there. And we just, like I said, we sat there and we were like, well, this is our first contract. And once you start getting in the world of contracting, there's two different sides of contracting. You can be the prime or you can be the sub. And we've always been the prime. The thing about being a prime, there's nothing wrong with subbing. If that's how you got to get in, put your foot in the door, hey, cool. That's your origin story. Different ships sail different ways. So my thing is, if you do have to sub, try to become a prime because you have more control over the kind of contracts that you can kind of go over. But subbing is an excellent way if you just want to get your foot in the door and start off, go for it. So when we went with the method we went with, we were a prime on our contract. So even though we took that $100 loss, we have real contracting experience as a prime. And that's what sets us apart on a lot of different projects that we've been on, because it shows that, hey, not only were you the person that handled the operations on contract, you were the one that actually handled all the strategic thinking that went into it. You were able to negotiate. You were able to handle all this stuff, and now you have a flawless, clean contract that shows your performance went well. Versus sometimes when you sub on stuff, that past performance doesn't always show up as strong just because you could have been one sub of 20 on a different contract. So they don't really know how to differentiate what your business did versus Joe Blow over here. So again, that's why I recommend, if you can, try to be a prime or get some kind of prime contracts if possible.
So when you won that sport contract, how many sport many did you bid on before you won that one? Do you remember?
Ooh, man, that was a moment ago. I'd probably say it was closer to maybe 10 to 15. And I mean, some of those we were.
What?
It wasn't a whole lot. Like it was like.
What you mean?
Well, no, the thing is, like, going from not knowing how to fill these things out and figuring out like what they're looking for, that didn't seem like a lot between two people working on them.
Nah, look, no disrespect. I'm saying that some people will bid on two, not win, and be like, "Oh, there's no way I can do this. This ain't for me." I'm saying from that perspective. Now we know in the world of contracting, you can bid on 100 and win one, and then that'll be all good.
Hey, you good for a year, yeah.
Like, yes, but like some people, they'll bid on none. They'll bid on one, they'll bid on two, and then like I never went back. They won't even be the person that bid on it. They paid someone or worked with someone to do it, and if they didn't win, that's the end of the world. But you're saying that not knowing, you were just like in the vault,
right?
Filling out stuff. You and your business partner, you did 15, essentially around 15, and you're like, oh well, shit, we didn't win, big deal, and you kept going until you won.
Right. And I will say this, that's one of the biggest things I do like about this industry is like, even if you have the worst day, tomorrow is a new day with new opportunities that get posted every day. So, hell, I can lose.
We need a super chat for that. Look, you can just wrench yourself off in the world of government contracted and end up just like, okay, new day, new money, new opportunities. And then sometimes those contracts that you bid on and you don't know what's going on with them might come back to you that next day as well. So I love that. I love that.
And there's stuff you might have put in. Oh, my bad. There might be stuff you put in like, 6 months ago that you forgot about that you might have just now got awareness that somebody finally made a decision on. So that's what I'm saying. Day to day, anything can change. You could go from, oh, we got no sales, and now we got 2 million in sales, and out of nowhere, and you're just like, oh, all right. Happened to me. You saw the tagline.
Overnight. Oh, I don't know what that echo is, but we just gonna keep rolling. So, shout out to Kaishan. Did you find the vendors first or the contracts? And if you found the vendors first, how did you go about finding them and getting them to work with you?
So when we first started off, we went after the contracts first, and we kind of had the mentality of building our business backwards. We didn't really start off with a focus. Like I said, well, our focus was really kind of off. I started out as a company called Archie Farms, and we were trying to sell compost to the government. And we went to a medical conference where the director of the VA at the time was there, and we got 45 seconds of his time, and he just dismantled myself and my business partner. And it was one of those things you could take he had us where we couldn't even describe what our business, it felt like puberty almost all over again. Like you're trying to talk to your high school crush and you can't find the words to say your name. Like it was bad. It was real bad. And I'm sitting there like, man, I'm typically never at a loss for words, but this guy got not only myself, but my partner too. Like we both down bad. So after that conversation, we just went back to the drawing board and we were like, look, man, we can either take this as a punch in the face and just quit now. That's not our mindset. So we just took it and we were like, and I think I said this last time too, I was like, look, at the time, I think I was 26, 27. I could be getting yelled at a manager from McDonald's, but I'm getting yelled at by a guy with a $70 billion budget. So, you take your choices in life. But if that guy's telling me, hey, you need to revamp your business and come up with something that people use, okay, I'm going to listen to him. So originally when we started off, we were just doing random contracts and we would just fill them based on what their needs were. Like we found there was one for gift cards. There was one for, like I said, sports was a big thing for a while. Blankets, pillows, just random stuff like that. And we would just find different manufacturers based on the needs. But we realized that's not the best way to build a business. So we kind of focused in on using finding manufacturers and then focusing on making sure we have that supply line in place to fulfill contracts. And for a lot of stuff, you can work. Again, I love working with local contractor or local municipalities a lot more because they're a lot more lenient in different things that change over time. Because even during 2020, when we were trying to deliver stuff, supply chain was crazy. Like you had to deal with ships that were just out in the ocean that couldn't come in for days, months, whatever. And some of the federal customers, they didn't understand that, even though I'm like, I know you see the news. I know you guys see what's going on. Like these ships can't come in because they didn't clear COVID restrictions or whatever. But some of the local state people, they're like, yeah, we see it. We know they can't come in the port. Well, whenever you can, just get it. So it's a different attitude. And I'm sure to anybody that's worked in the federal government, love y'all. But again, I understand, you guys, it is what it is. You guys have your rules and your marching orders. But again, the world isn't just so black and white. Stuff happens out here. And the bigger key I give away to anybody out here is just keep communicating. You can't treat this like a bad date and just be like, oh, I got the contract. They're gonna get it when they get it. No, just keep telling them what's going on. Like if you're gonna be late or behind on something, tell them hey, and then like anything else, cover yourself. Make sure you send an email, even if y'all did have a phone conversation, be like, hey, as per our conversation, this is what happened on this date or whatever. And just make sure you write it up because people will act fickle. You said what? No, I don't remember him talking about what? They were supposed to deliver that 2 weeks ago. Yeah, don't play that game with them. Just make sure you follow emails. Yup, cover your A. So
your A. And shout out to Naya Shamir for the $4.99 super chat. That is appreciated. So go ahead and follow Stu. He is dropping he's dropping years of knowledge, and it's only been what? 24 minutes.
Hey, that's what I'm here for.
Y'all better drop some of that super chat. Don't make me get aggressive on this daggone call, okay? So yeah. That's really, really important because you're saying, some people, I don't know about this new generation, they believe in ghosting you and ignoring you and hoping that you just go away. But that don't work over here on this side of contracting. If just like he said, that's so super important. And some people their fear gets in the way of logic. Just like with anyone who has a service for their own personal self, for their house, if the person's like, look, I'm going to be late. Okay, no problem. Let me know. Don't just be late and then ignore me and then you just pop up like that. That makes people are aggravated. They're drawing their own conclusions. So even if you can't do something and you're trying your best, then make sure you let them know. And yes, Lord, put that thing in email, because I know a lot of people on this call right now, y'all will pick up the phone, and as soon as you hang up the phone, that person gonna forget you and everything you said,
Right.
or they're gonna pretend like they did sometimes. So
Facts.
yeah, that's just something to keep in mind to CYA. So we have another question from Andrew. When you say 100K, did you clear that, or was that the total value of the contract?
It was the total that, well, actually the total value of the contract was 110,000, but out of that, the margins on it were probably about 50%. So we put, like, what is that, 55K or something like that.
What?
Yeah, we got it was a good time, like, back then. So, like, margins on it were really good. Yeah, and I mean, that was, hey, I already filed my taxes on that one, so it was about 55K. So that was like the first real comfortable payday.
50% margins.
Yeah.
I said I'm gonna slide over the products. I promise. One day I'm gonna slide over, because those margins are brutal. And so, even going back to that pen contract, I know you didn't want to share last time, but can you give us a little like just a little bit of what, like, give me something that maybe is like won't get you maybe in trouble or whatever. We gotta know. Out of $3.2 million in less than 40 days, we gotta know, like, were you able to buy a car, a boat, more pens? Like, what was you able to do? A computer, a MacBook? Like, tell us something.
No, I bought some, we bought some apartments. So
wait, some what?
Apartments, yeah.
Like a complex?
Yeah, a couple of them. I just put it like that.
Talk your ish. You hear me? Like, he said he was able to buy properties, like houses and apartments and structures.
Right.
And I know it's like you gotta, ball out, and then also you made investments.
Well, so that's always been my thing, though. Like, I've always had money. Like, even when I was in, like, undergrad, right? Like, I did a program with Coast Guard called Sea Spy, that basically you go to boot camp during your junior and senior year, but while you come back, actually you go to boot camp between your sophomore year and junior year, and when you come back your junior year, you're E3, so you're getting full E3 pay with benefits while you're in undergrad. And then I was an RA too, and so, like, my housing was free.
Like the person in charge of the college campus.
College campus. Yeah, I just had like a couple kid, like I was in charge of like 40 kids on my hall or whatever. So I had my room and board was free, and I had a meal plan, and so I was still getting like $10,000 refund checks. So everything said and done, I think I was making about 70K back in 2000. What was that? 2010, 2011.
And when so I guess you were like 21, 22.
Yeah. So, and I'm like, the only thing I wish I would have did differently in life was start buying property sooner, but it is what it is. I mean, I was selling cars and doing other stuff. When I think I said this last time too. Yeah, when I graduated, I only owed like $127 or $157 or something like that, because I had like 10 cars and I had like parking tickets. But
10 cars, like 10.
Yeah, like number of fingers on your hands, like 10. So, and I was selling them to like other students and stuff on campus or whatever, and just moving them around. Yeah, but I couldn't buy enough parking passes or whatever. They wouldn't sell them to me. And
you reached the max. Okay, wait a minute. Wait. Because you be saying stuff fast. Like, that's gonna go over somebody's head. This man was hustling. Like, I was hustling. What was I selling? In college, I was doing hair. That was my thing. I was doing braids. That was it. He said he was flipping cars. He was getting his refund check. He was, and that's when you started your business too, right? Your
right. Yeah, it's like because like I said, I mean, you can only buy so many clothes and shoes and stuff, and like my thing too is like, yo, you go to school. Like, I went to A&T, North Carolina Agricultural Technical State University. I was like, look, man, there's people with way less money, and you can find somebody to like you, love you, hug you, whatever you want on a campus. Like, as long as you take a shower, you probably good to go. But I just say that to say, like, you don't really need to be that flashy if you got some personality about you or whatever. And I guess that's in life. But my whole thing was like, yeah, like buying clothes and buying shoes, it gets boring eventually. Like, don't get me wrong, I like to look nice, but okay, what's your impact? Like, that's my whole thing. Like, okay, cool, you got a big old chain and a big watch. Wait, where's your event center? Like, how many kids did you help out? You know what I'm saying? Like, did you feed anyone that needed a meal? Did you close? I mean, you got all these clothes. Did you close somebody else? Like, I don't know. I just think about all that stuff, and it's like all this glitz and glamour gets people in the way, and it's like, what impact do you really have? You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's the thing that really gets me with a lot of people in the wealth, or what they think is wealth, is it's all a show, and it's like, who you really trying to impress? Because at the end of the day, like, impressions don't pay bills. Like, you not. I've never seen an electric bill get paid off of clout or get paid off of somebody's what they look like. You know what I mean? And if you really put it in perspective, a lot of these people that a lot of people think are wealthy, they live in check to check. Like, it's a struggle out here, you know. So
it's not a struggle for you, but for the rest of us, yes. When we get that Brent Archie buddy, look, I say it all out of love. If you just join in, look, Brent said that when he got his money from his pens, just the pens contract, he was able to buy apartment buildings. Okay, that's a whole other flex. And I know you bashful. You don't want people to like, big you up, but I'm bigging you up because look, we need more like you. And just like you said, like, what is your impact? Okay, like your impact from what you said last time, this time, and what you said before is immense. And that's really what it's about. Like, give to the less fortunate, within reason, because you want to have what you want to have as well. But like you said, if you have $1 million in the bank, like, okay, what can you do to help just a little bit? Just a little bit. What can you do?
right, and it's not even like in the bank type money. My thing is like people bust they ass like all month, year, whatever. I remember I wore some Jordan number 4s one day. It was raining, right? And this guy that was working at Amazon he like stopped. They were the breads, the black, red, and gray 4s or whatever. Dude almost broke his neck. Like, oh my gosh, you wearing those in the rain? And I'm like, bro, they're shoes. At the end of the day, they're shoes. And I'd already worn them a couple times and like played ball in them, whatever. And this man's yeah, exactly.
Shoes, right? Yeah,
I know. It's a crazy notion, right? Like, and so the guy was like, "Bro, I worked all week to save up to buy those," and I was like, "Well, did you wear them?" And he's like, "No," and I'm like, "So wait a minute, you took a whole week of your time to just buy something that's in your closet that you're not even gonna wear," and that's what really gets me with a lot of people. They'll buy these things and never wear them for what? Like, nobody even knows you have the thing, just so you can be like, oh, I got that, but it's at the crib and I'm waiting for a. You tell me you ain't been to weddings, a date or something. Like, I don't know. Just get outside and wear them, man. Like, there's no way I'm putting a week worth of my time towards something and not using it. Like, what are you saving it for? But I digress. That's just one of my frustrations with
the passion. It's the passion for me. So I love it. You're so right, and everybody needs to hear that because once they start getting this government contracting money and then start changing them, they need to remember this conversation that Brent is telling y'all. Like, once you have more money than you've ever had in your life, then you're gonna have a lot of things to think about. What is your impact again? And shout out to Kaishan for the super chat. I wish I had one of them clappers. For the super chat, that is so greatly appreciated. So, did you want to say something before I get to the next question?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So we talked about the 100K. So when you said start local, where would we start if you're a full service moving and storage company in Miami, Florida? They putting their plug in. I ain't mad at you. Look, this is the place to do it.
Miami in the building. There we
Miami
go.
in the building. That's from Cornelius Hosting. So he does full service moving and storage full service and move-in storage company in Miami, Florida. So if anybody needs one, Cornelius is out here. But yeah, you want to answer that?
Oh yeah, I would definitely say plug in with some of those bases down there. I know Fort Lauderdale, the whole southern Miami area. There's a lot of Coast Guard stuff going on down there. I know just Coast Guard personally, but I'm sure there's Navy and other bases. But I would definitely say, hey, those people move. A third of that population moves once a year, so that's huge right there. I would definitely check out the federal side of moving, especially in that area, and especially Miami, man. Woo, man, just getting a drink of water down there costs about $20. So Uh, that's one expensive city. But I just say like definitely check in with all the bases and see if they'll let you either put up your own signs on some of the moving boards, talk to the what is it, the housing boards that actually help move people, and try to make sure that your company is in a position where you're a preferred vendor for them, so that you'll be able to move. Like basically what'll happen, especially, I mean, when I was moving, at least, and Sheena, you correct me if I'm wrong, but like whenever you put in for your move package, they kind of assigned you a mover. At least for the Coast Guard, they'll assign you a mover, and they'll come by, and then you guys will just pack up people's stuff and drive it off to wherever, and then just meet them at their new house wherever it is. So as long as that still hasn't changed in the last 50 years, which I think it hasn't. uh, you're like you will be, I don't want to say guaranteed business, but it's very highly likely, unless you break everything and they get some bad reports, that you're going to get guaranteed business all summer. Like you'll be a busy company. You're probably going to have to hire more people, honestly, because those lists are relatively short because of all the vetting they have to do, because you still have to do background checks and everything like that to be able to get on base and stuff. But I would definitely check with the housing offices near you for any federal bases.
I'm glad you said that, because as an Army veteran, I didn't even think about Miami having a base, because we're not near water typically. So that was really good that you put that part in about the Coast Guard and Navy. They're more than likely going to have a base in that surrounding area. So he just gave you a really, really great gem. Don't forget the super chat. Like I said, don't forget the super chat. It's looking dry out there. So go ahead and he's dropping gems. Go ahead and drop some gems on us. The next question is, okay, glad it's a replay. I'm glad you can join, D. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, what is the impact? Kaishan put some gems by that. And then Kaishan also asked, what markets have you seen the best profit margins or sweet spots that you can often hit over and over? Great question.
So actually, like it's been pretty dynamic as we've gone on this journey. We've been able to capture some multi-year contracts. The thing about that, though, it gets interesting because you get to go back and renegotiate your price between each year, because obviously there's the cost of goods that goes up each year. And so I would say like different stuff for the prison systems. That definitely increases margins, as well as things for Department of Veteran Affairs. That's another realm that margins tend to go up for. It's not any specific industry per se, like any specific item. It just depends on so this is what I recommend. Bid on things and try to get the bid tabulations or the past performance from whatever you just bid on. And then if you can, there's an e-library from GSA that you can go to that you can check past stuff against. So try to do your research.
Google the GSA library, it'll take you there. So, and it has every industry, every type of service, every product. So that's a huge one right there. It took me several years to find that. So that's a gem.
That thing's a beast. And what's crazy is like some people will make websites that are basically like backpacking off of that site, but they're going to charge you to use it. So the GSA e-library is free. Again, like people will charge you to do all this stuff. Like you can pay anyone to do anything. But again, just gathering the knowledge for yourself, you'll be more resourceful and be able to do a lot more with it. And you can save more money. Like, hey, that's more money that you can spend on making your impact. But
I'm not buying Jordan, but I
mean, again, if you don't buy them, wear them. You know what I'm saying? So like, don't put them in your closet for a lifetime, and then nobody ever knew you had them. So,
fact though, I love it. Shawnee, Miami in the building. Okay. And so Andrew asks, what is your why? You hint toward it, but why are you doing this? What is your goal? What does success look like for you? And that's a great question, because you've been so successful. And I know you must be maybe in your mid to late 30s, but Or
early
maybe
30s.
early 30s. Look, I was like, wait a minute. No, it's early 30, 33. Okay, so
Right.
he's young 30s, okay? And you've
Right.
already been so successful. That's even, even more interesting because to have this much success this young, that is a great question that Andrew's asking. Like, is it a date? Is it an age? Is it a dollar amount? Is it like when this ain't fun no more?
No, I mean honestly, I do this to just show people there's another way. Like this has been my mindset probably since about high school. I mean, I went to a school where like our football team was trash. Like I think we went, I mean, totally defeated and then some. We probably lost extra games somehow. Like it was bad. And I'm just seeing like, how all these people put hopes and dreams into athletics and stuff trying to get out or trying to sing their way out of where we were at and stuff. And I'm like, man, there's got to be a different way than just either hoping you can entertain your way out of some inner city situations or whatever. And I always just wanted to prove that, like, look, there's a way you can make a whole lot of money. You don't have to sell your soul. You don't have to, get strung out. You don't have to do things that, you're going to wonder why you do it when you were 70, 80 years old with your OnlyFans or whatever it is. I just wanted to show there was a moral way that you can make money and still be a reputable member of your community, and still give back. And that's even my thing now. Like I partner with a lot of nonprofits that help battered and abused women as well as disenfranchised veterans as well. Like we found housing for veterans, and that's actually one of my missions on my apartment complex. We actually house homeless veterans and stuff like that. And it's really just kind of being that beacon of hope for people and being able to give back to the community that's helped me so much, So as far as
I love it.
as far as a date that this ends, hey, I give it up when the casket drops, my man. Why stop? Because my thing too, even when I'm having a bad day or anything like this, like I think about people that that might be locked behind bars or things of that nature that don't have the opportunity, won't ever have the chance to do some of this stuff. Then I think about people that have lost limbs and arms and they still have the drive to get whatever they got to do done. So who am I to stop hustling, stop grinding to try to make the world a better place as I see fit? You know what I mean? So ultimately, I don't really have a stop date. My kids are my son's getting older. So I still got enough time to, go to his events. And I was telling Sheena earlier, like, hey, I got to see his first basketball game today and stuff. And, that's cool. But yeah, I just want to be able to put him in a position to, go ahead and thrive in whatever he's going to go achieve and go be great at. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I guess it's a equal balance of a pet peeve of mine too. And I was kind of talking to Sheena offline about this, where parents put a lot on kids, man. Like, yo, you looking at your son or your daughter, like she's got to sing us out the hood, or your son's got to play ball until we out of this situation. And I'm like, if you started your kid playing ball at about 6, and normally most people can't make it to the league until about 20, and that's basketball. Baseball is a little weird because you can kind of get drafted out of high school, but especially football where you got to almost be 22. I'm saying you're telling me in 15 to 20 years you can't change your financial situation? Like you could have literally gone from not even knowing how to be the thought of being a doctor to becoming a licensed doctor in that time period. Sure, you got some school loan, but if your salary is $500K and your school loans are only $200K, I'm sure, and you got the rest of your life to do your practice, you can pay that back. What's $200K really? Like, I mean, these numbers, I know sometimes they're terrifying, but like at the end of the day, you can change your own situation, and you shouldn't put that burden on the next generation, is all I'm saying. But to answer your original question,
Yeah, I was like, wait, Brent, everybody gonna think like you. Look, I
hey,
got you. But everybody's not gonna have that same drive. And again, drop some in that super chat, that little box with the $sign. Do the super chat because he's giving you like some of the things that we don't really like think about completely clearly. Like I didn't even think about if I have a kid that's 6. Like say my child was my ticket out the hood, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna groom this baby to the NBA. And so we're talking about 15, 16 years. I didn't even think about like in that time I could be doing something for me to change our life. because we all know that a lot of these hoop dreams just fall to the wayside, especially if you are a parent that has a sports kid. You know what this life is like, and you was talking about how crazy those parents are when the kid is playing. You're like, this baby is 9, okay? Like, what are we doing?
I mean, they were ready to throw the coaches out. Like, I'm like, goodness, ma'am, you know, he's just trying to coach the kids. She's like, nah, he ain't active enough for me. I said, okay, well, you know, do you think? All right. But yeah, them kids are great.
It gets deep. Look, I was a sports parent. I was a team mom for almost all my kids' sports. So trust, I get that life. It's real life for us. Okay, I'm glad I'm out of it. So welcome, Jay. Is it J Ply 23? This is your first live. Welcome, because you came in on a good one. And that is my boy Mikey. What's up, Mikey? Recently retired from a whole bunch of stuff. I forgot. From the Secret Service, something like that. Just put in the chat.
Congrats.
Right. So DL JT sent you. Okay, shout out to JT, another fellow YouTuber that is amazing. So you asked, what's the best government contract for women? So I'll give you a chance to answer that if you want, Brent, or you can ping pong that to me.
Yeah, I might have to. I got the wrong parts, but I'll let you slide on that. Yeah, you got that.
About everything, Brent. Stop playing. Look, I gotta tell y'all. Before this call, I was like, yo, we got to stop, because we were just like talking about so many things in a short period of time. I'm like, this man is really like a wealth of knowledge. So I just figured you would be able to answer this. That's all.
That's the one I don't got in my bag. This the one. This the one. They got me.
Okay. Respect. Okay, so really, that question goes to whatever it is that you're gonna do. So when you say government contracting for women, it's more like make sure you get your certification as a woman. That's really it. You know, I'm in a male-dominated field, so I can't say what I guess me either. I can't really say what's the quote unquote best. It's really what your company can perform, or you as an individual. Some people get on contracts on their own as an individual and they just contract themselves out. So I would say just go with what you know. I always say start with what you know, because going back to what you said earlier, Brent, about like the past performance, even the past performance of your job is past performance. So
right.
Like for me, I was in IT for 20 years. There's no way you're gonna tell me that's not past performance, even though it was in government, but I was an employee. That's my past performance, point blank, right. Period. So if it's something that you want to get into as a woman and you have that past performance, whether a job or some other kind of experience, volunteer work, that's your past performance. So I would start with that. So yeah, so I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, just go ahead and re-ask, and don't forget the super chat, looking dry out there. So Shawnee says, is asking, how do you know how much you can mark up products? Do you use previous contracts?
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, it also depends on who your product's coming from too. I mean, your cost of goods. Now, granted, like in a service contract, you can as long as you can, most service contracts, as long as you can justify your price and you know everything makes sense. That's how a lot of those contracts slide by. But as far as products go, you know what you're going to get it for, and then you look at what the past people bid on it and what the last winner was, and you know you did the basic math, subtract the difference, and find that sweet spot, and just go from there. So
do you feel like so when you're looking at the previous winner, do you on the service side, typically, especially with janitorial, is usually going to be like the same size and scope? Do you usually see the same size and scope for product contracts, or is it usually new?
No, it can be all over the place. Like we even had 2 different picnic table contracts in the same state, and one county, just because it was different numbers of schools in that county, it was like remarkably different what they wanted. Excuse me. And one county wanted full assembly, the other county just wanted stuff dropped off. So when there's like little nuances like that, that's what can justify pricing. Because it's one thing just for me to drop off a table to you. Now, if you need me to have a whole field of people assembling all this stuff, that's going to cost some more, and you know. So that's how you also get into value adding into these contracts too. So don't always look at it as like, oh, this is just another cost, and like as a business, like you should eat that. No, at the end of the day, you're adding value because you're saying, hey, this is my dedicated team to complete your mission for you. They are professionals at assembling these tables. Here you go. Here's the price on that. And, you know, the government, the contracting officer can either take it or leave it. And again, don't get down just because you lost a contract. There's another one tomorrow. There might be one that afternoon.
Right, today. And so so thank you for that. I didn't even think about like because I know you said you do furniture as well, right?
Right.
Like here and there. So if we're talking about products and say there's no assembly required, right? And you buy it from the manufacturer for X, do you have at least like a base of, you know, if I buy it for 50 cents, I'm always gonna at least mark it up 50%? Or is it kind of, I know it depends on the product or whatever, but is there something where you're like, okay, here's the base, but then we the nuances add a dollar amount?
Right. So yeah, we go off of, well, again, even the base kind of fluctuates. Again, you just always got to check with your what the current pricing is, because we're not always just dealing one type of furniture or one type of picnic table, one type of everything. Because again, another difference that happened was one county wanted picnic tables with the hole in the middle for like umbrellas to go into them, and then the other county didn't. So even that design difference vastly changed the price for whatever reason, because structurally, again, you start learning a lot of different weird stuff, like structurally how picnic tables go together. That circle in the middle has to displace the different way the surface area of that table is different. So, anyways, just saying that you start learning stuff like that, and you're like, oh, this is going to cost a different price. But yeah, when they start wanting different items and different little changes and stuff, that's going to cost. Like anything else, if I offer you the base and then you were like, oh, I want roll down windows, I want air conditioning, I want a special badge, that's going to cost you. This is like anything else. Think of, you're manufacturing a car for these people. You're offering a base product car, and then when they start wanting all these extra options, that's when, you know, you're adding extra costs into it. So that's what you can look at it.
That's a great example. If anybody did like a little wisher card where you went on the site and you were like, I'm gonna get this Benz one day, and then you're like, let me start here. And you're like, God damn, it added 40,000 for all the stuff.
Hey, yeah, you want
example. Like build your own car, and that goes with the pens too. And I want to get to that in 1 second. So I just want to say shout out to Jay Ply. Thank you for the super chat. I'm gonna get a soundboard. I'm gonna be making noises for y'all in these next few lives. But don't forget the rest of y'all. He's dropping some for real stuff. So I'm gonna get to some more questions. I can't see it on this screen. I gotta look at this screen. So the next question is for, okay, we talked about the markup. D asks, how do you start the certification process? You need a whole consultation, D, because these are like we're like at step 2.5. So the certification and stuff is kind of like, you know, more of the very, very start of getting started. So we're not really talking about that as much tonight, but make sure you reach out to me. So Mikey asked, are subcontractors subject to the same background and protocols as the primary contractor? That's an excellent question.
From what I understand, the majority of subs, they kind of operate in a special space because so what happens with the sub is you're being like blessed in almost, like the prime is basically saying, hey, this subcontracting company is good to go, and I've checked all their references. So you're kind of at the whim of the prime that you're working for, but you're not really at the authority of the actual contracting officer. However, if you do something bad, obviously the prime's going to get in trouble, and then they're probably going to fire you. So yes and no. Like you're not directly at the contracting officer can't directly say something to you. They're going to talk to the prime, and then it's going to be a mess between you and the sub and the prime, if that makes sense.
No, that does. And I know because I'm in service, so I can probably answer that. Go, you know, add on to what you're saying. And so there's been times where I had subs and, you know, they weren't necessarily listed as subs on the local side, because sometimes local side, they don't care about who your sub is. They're like, just get the work done. Right. On the federal side, sometimes they have the subs written into the contract. So yes, they may talk to you. But then at the end of the day, it's all about the prime, because the prime was awarded the contract.
Right.
There are some, like here in Georgia and maybe a couple other places I saw, where the subcontractor is paid by the agency. That's rare. But if that is the case, then the sub may actually be, held completely accountable depending on how that contract rolls out. So just like he said, maybe it depends sometimes, kind of, it just, you have to you're reading the solicitation and your contract when it rolls out. So shout out to Mikey for the super chat. Thank you, because he's dropping some gems over here. And we'll get to, I want to ask you about with the pens. So the difference between you do products, right? Like you do just straight products, straight for the manufacturer, goes to the person, great. But sometimes you do promotional products, right? And you talked about that last time. So with the promotional products, can you just like explain like what the difference is, or like you feel like it's higher profit margins, or how do you present that?
So yeah, promotional items, they typically they do have higher margins. It's just they're kind of a rare occurrence. Usually you'll get them for large scale employers that want to give a gift to their employees like during holiday times. We've had a couple talks like with some healthcare systems in the past, just giving their employees like bags full of stuff or whatever.
It's federal or local or corporate?
So this is corporate. This is kind of like a corporate situation. So that's another world that we're actually branching into. Yeah, it's a whole nother field. Even start exploring. Again, I would say if you're going to start this world, start off on some local and state situations if you can. Then branch into federal. Again, there's nothing wrong with federal. It's just a lot easier, a lot more lenient people at local level that you can actually go pull up to their office, unless you live in DC or whatever.
I'm pulling up.
Right.
Where my money at?
No, and then I'll even say that real quick. Like even with the accounting phase and them paying you out money, I've been able to get a check same day by pulling up to an office somewhere versus some federal checks I've had to wait like a couple months. I think the longest I've had to wait was like 60 days or something. Like, the money's coming, but it's one of those situations you're like, all right, man, come on, where's my 100K? Where's my 200? Whatever it is.
Wait, don't just, where's my 100K? Don't do that. Why are you doing that to us, Brent? Look.
No, I was talking.
Let's rewind back. Now, that's really important. Now, I kind of live in a local space too. So you said that you were able to negotiate getting a check the same day. Now, federal, we know that you can be, the contracting officer can be here. You're getting paid from a totally different system, state. That's one of my contracts. I was able to negotiate every 2 weeks. I ain't never been able to negotiate, write me a check right now. So that's really, really like key, that when you're doing local, you may not always get that. They have their parameters or whatever.
Right.
But it's way more likely to be able to have someone who's local, that you're face to face with them. They're the ones that like the what do they call it? The accounts payable right there. Right. Like, no problem. So that's a really good point.
And there's even been times with some of the local offices where she's like, hey, the quicker you give me an invoice, the quicker I'll pay you out. And I'm like, and it was a situation where we had like multiple deliveries coming through, and they had to clear their books because their new year was starting. It was a special situation, whatever. But she was like, hey, just give me the invoice now and we'll go from there. But whatever. So long story short, I mean, the delivery, I think, happened on the same day she cut the check. So she was just like, make sure you got the invoice in before the thing arrives and you can have the check. And I was like, hey, whatever you need, lady, I am.
Here's my laptop. We're doing this right here, right now. What we talking about?
Hey, thanks, because I ain't playing around. But and that's just like one of those little special things where you can build relationships, especially if you're having like a long-term contract with some of these people in these offices versus federal people. Even in federal jobs, people switch out jobs every 3 to 5 years. So you might have been talking, you might have a rapport with Rosie. Next day, Tony's working there, and you're like, oh, what happened to Rosie? Oh, man. Now you got to start working with Tony, and Tony doesn't like when people call on Tuesdays and stuff. Like, just you got to learn people and be able to do that whole people science. And I would say being able to read people and just be empathetic to their situations. Because at the end of the day, that's a differentiator too, is that customer service, man. If you can, talk through people and talk with them and make sure, again, that communication too. But the customer service element, I think a lot of people get lost in that just because, this might be the first time you're dealing with $1 million clients, you're dealing with $100,000 clients or whatever it is. It's a different realm, but at the end of the day, people are still people, man. Even if, I don't know how many of y'all talk to generals or admirals, but you realize they're all still people. They still just got families like everybody else. Everybody breathes the same air as you. But you shouldn't be intimidated by any of these people with letters behind their names or that whole whatever position. Just talk to them like a normal person. And that's all you got to really remember in anything like sales or whatever your walks of life is. So I'll just leave you with that.
No, that's dope because I remember you saying that before, how you're just like, look, I don't even care what this lady talking about. I'm going to say, yes, no problem. We'll fix it. And I thought that was so dope because like really what you're doing, you're selling the customer service. And that's one of the things that, I'm janitorial, right? Janitorial facilities. There's a gazillion of us out here in the free world, right? So that's one of the things that when I ask for feedback from my clients, my government clients, like what do you like about Foresight Industries? And it's like, you answer the phone, you answer emails, you have great customer service, you're very responsive. I'm like, that's regular business stuff, but it's really not, especially when you're in like something that's super competitive. And like, I would say that I know my industry is super competitive. Is your industry super competitive as well?
Oh, I'm going up against Office Max and Staples and stuff. Like, I've been in the room where these people are like, they're getting flown in on jets to be in the same meeting I'm in. I'm just like, all right. And sometimes I've been able to win like small partial bids, but I'm competing with $1 billion companies, like whatever. So
have you won against them?
Like I said, I've won partial contracts against them. I haven't won like they typically win the state term contracts for like North Carolina state, like the whole state or whatever. But like sometimes you can win line items off the bid as an individual. So I've won like individual parts of that. So
that's dope. But that's a good point again, right? Because some of these things we just like, oh, I want to do government contracting. You just bid or you just like go out here and give sandwiches to the contracting officers. But stuff like that is what keeps people from going back. If they like, okay, this is my first intro to doing government contracting is doing this site visit. I haven't even looked at the solicitation. I just looked at where to go and what time. And then you get in a room with Office Max and Staples and you're like, oh no, there's no way I can win against them. But you're like, I don't give a like you said, these are people. I don't care where you came from. I don't care what your title is. I am going to bid on this contract, period.
That's what I'm saying. You breathe the same air as me, man. Like, yo, you can't intimidate me. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's how I've grown up or what I've seen in life or whatever. Like, unless you breathe in fire or you can breathe underwater, or you got some magical powers. We all move in the same way.
If you're a demon, like what are we talking about? I love it. That's say it with your whole chest. Talk your ish because that is so factual. And I say that all the time. I'm like, I'm just, and I don't want to say this, but it's like I'm just a girl. Like I am still going out here and with my nails and my locks, and I'm going to facility management meetings, and people looking at me like, what the hell she thinks she's doing here? Bidding on this contract the same as you. Like I don't even that doesn't intimidate me whatsoever. So that's a really good point. All those points you just dropped. Hey,
that's what I'm saying. I go to those meetings too, and I'm wearing some jeans and some Jordans and a t-shirt, and some bids I win, some of them I lose, whatever. Like we gonna live to fight another day, whatever.
Fight another day. And hey. I want to just whoever just came in, look, super chat. All right, it's the little box with the $sign. Go ahead and drop that super chat because Brent is dropping some knowledge. So I got to scroll up because I kind of missed a couple of questions. So let's see here. When did you decide to W-2 an employee versus 1099? I'm not sure if you have any W-2 employees.
No, we don't. We're actually switching over to that whole situation going into this year. Just to make everything a little bit easier for us. But yeah, as of right now, we've got about 10 employees and all of them are 1099 right now, but we're going to switch over going into next year.
Yeah, check out sorry, J Black 23. Just check out my accounting video. We kind of talk about that because, basically, if they don't have their own business insurance, you need to go ahead and make them a W-2. It depends. It depends on how much.
Right.
You got to tell them what to do to W-2.
Right. And I mean, that's even myself and like my business partner and stuff, it just makes it easier for other parts of life too. Whenever you're trying to buy more houses and stuff, like it gets wild when you're like, no, I got XYZ $1 million, whatever. And the bank's like, yeah, that's cool, but are you getting where's your consistent money? Where's your what? You're like, but sir, I have enough money to buy this 2-3 times over. Oh, that's cute and everything, but we just need to see the consistent money coming in. All right, so whatever. Just give it to them how they want. Put yourself on a W-2, whatever, and for banking purposes or whatever you got to do, and go from there. But hey, whatever makes sense. I'm not an accountant, so whatever makes
check out
sense.
that video because I was about to give my opinion. I'm like, let me just stop because potato, and I don't want anyone to be like, well, Sheena and Brent told us to
no.
And it's like, okay, never mind. So okay, let's see. Yes, he is dropping gems, Aaron. And Kaishan asked, if you were starting all over again, how would that look in the first 30 to 90 days?
First 30, 90 days is all registrations and making sure you set up right. Honestly, that's the only thing like I really did that first year was that, and just going to seminars. So even trying to understand this world, more from how to collect on stuff. I wouldn't necessarily set up factoring. I'd set up some like business credit lines. I don't really have any recommendations. Just work with your local bank. I think Chase is doing some cool stuff for government contractors now. I got a credit line through Chase, so hey, maybe they can help you out. But I would just recommend making sure all of that stuff set up, and so you're ready to attack. And also just periodically just practice filling out some contracts. If you never filled out a contract, just submit one. Because the thing is, even if you win a contract, you don't have to do it until you sign on that line. It's like, oh, I accept this. Like you could win a contract. I've turned down contracts that we won some stuff too. Like you don't have to accept everything that comes through your door. And sometimes the contract just doesn't make sense after you bid on it and you say, yeah, I can do it. And who knows? Maybe the prices of whatever went up, or you just don't feel like doing it. I don't stop it.
You mean you won't get banned for life?
Right. Again,
you out of the whole government contracting.
Hey, tomorrow's still tomorrowing, so you got another chance tomorrow. Like you'll be all right. So that's all I'm saying. Like, don't be afraid to respectfully rescind stuff. Don't write a whole email. F you, F this. I'll never work with y'all ever. Like,
what the government?
I can't believe y'all would email me this despicable, like, whatever. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I never heard it because I don't feel like it. I ain't gonna tell no lie. He's like, well, maybe you don't feel like it. Yo, that's a whole nother flex. I ain't even there.
I mean, once you get to a certain level, you start looking at stuff and you like, it's not worth our time. So
I feel you. No, I feel you 1,000%. And thank you, Kaishan. Make sure there's 44 people watching right now. So make sure all of y'all hit that like button and don't forget the super chat. Okay, don't forget the super chat. So Casino's saying like that's fact. So share what you mean, Casino. Another great YouTuber. So make sure y'all check him out. So we talked about what would you do if you start all over. So got here a little late. Already answered this, but do you use factoring? I think you might have saw. Did you see that question? Is that why you said factoring?
No, I haven't seen any questions. So everything you read to me is what I'm seeing or talking to. But
okay, well, I have some recommendations, and I know you said that you didn't, but just for other stuff, I will say Southstar is a factoring-ish company. That's who I use. They're pretty good. And Now Account, they don't call themselves a factoring company, but they're basically a factoring company. And thank you, Kaishan, dropping somebody in the super chat. Listen, I appreciate it. Recognize the value. So Southstar and Now Account are the two factoring companies that I have used equally as good. It's just Southstar, you're going to need to have all your ducks in a row, like all your paperwork together because, baby. And I don't know if you guys understand factoring. Factoring is not just like they lend you money. Like you have to have active invoices coming in. Like I don't know what the period of time is, but you have to be super active already. I think that's a little bit different in trucking compared to government contracting. Maybe not. I don't know. Did you have any recommendations?
Well, no, I don't think when we did look at factoring, it was just like their rates. Sometimes I guess the ones that I can't even remember the name of someone we looked to, but the rates were crazy for us. But I will say, like, usually the agent that you're working with will go over all that with you, depending on what industry you're in. So you can ask them if you're in trucking, if you're in services, or whatever you're doing. Be like, hey, this is the payment schedule. This is what I'm expecting, and then they'll usually give you the terms from there, right? From what I understand. Yeah. So that's how it works.
Yeah. So, and again, whoever joined a little bit later, we have like a little echo. So don't be like, what's going on with that echo? But we working through it. So if I talk loud enough, it seems like it goes away. I'll be screaming on the mic. Okay. So dropping gems, make sure you drop that super chat. And then it's about relationship building. That is 1,000% correct, Aaron. And so Shanita asked, shout out to Shanita because she was on live last time and like your video is going crazy, girl. It's going crazy. So what's the biggest mistake you think people make when starting government contracting? Great question.
I think just not casting their net wide enough. Like you were saying, people give up after one or two times, and I'm just like, yo, treat your business like, well, I don't know what y'all's dating life are like, but like treat it like dating or treat it like anything else. Like, yo, if you stop talking to all females, like after you got shot down by one or two, like what are you doing? Oh, I hate the world. I'm going in my closet. I'm gonna stop just even trying. Like, no, that's crazy. Like, yo, you got to get out there and just be active. Like, this is a contact sport, and you just got to remember, like, yo, go out there and set your target out there. If you don't hit it, there's always another one coming. Like, I mean, Gucci Man said it. You know what I'm saying? Like, miss one, next 15 one coming. Hey, look, I'm just saying, yo, you treat it. Hey, you treat it like dating, man. Just don't give up until you get what you want. You know what I'm saying? It's out there for you. I mean, the government it prints its own money, so you might as well get some. Like it's coming, and if you got the services and you got it to offer, go for it. That's all I got on that.
Look, put contact sport in the chat. Okay, you got to be like, hey, I'm here. And it really is. Sometimes it's the loudest person in the room. Sometimes you just bid on a contract. You're the only one that shows up. This is all facts that he's saying. I've said this in multiple videos. I say it all over everything. Like you can't just give up because you had a bad day. I don't care if you down, if you all the way down. The best way to climb out is, look, I'll be on the horn. I don't care if everything is going great. I don't care what the climate of my day is or week or month is. I'm going to be bidding because it might come at a time when I really, really need the money.
Right.
You know, I might have a down month and I'm like, oh my God, and a contract that I bid on 30 days ago or 3 months ago comes and it's like, oh, you've been awarded. And it's like, hallelujah, amen. But I was doing good 3 months ago. You know what I'm saying? Like money was flowing 3 months ago. And then it's like, you just never know when that time comes. So right now, those who have been on contracts within the last, say, 60 days, there's the holidays. You're probably not gonna be hitting on nothing right now. Like these motherfuckers been on vacation.
Yo,
facts. We got like 7 pending contracts. And I just said, you know what, team, let's just wait for January. They probably all gonna come the same week, and I'm gonna be like bald headed next time I come on this live. But I'm saying like they're in the pipeline. They're in the pipeline. So you just gotta keep going, whether it's building relationships, submitting bids, making relationships so you can be a subcontractor, all these things, right? So
right. One other thing I'll say is also like just putting in some of these if you're starting brand new or whatever, put in stuff like you'll get these requests for quotes or these requests for proposals, and people won't put anything in. And if you're just that one person, that's a good way of building a rapport too. If you're the one company that's like actually talking to the contracting officer, because they might even sole source stuff to you just because you're the only person they even got any feedback from. So I would also just add that into if you see open solicitations, even though it might not be for it might not be an RFQ, it just might be an RFP, which is a request for proposal. just fill it out. If you're not 100% sure, that because the government's not 100% sure if they're going to even buy the service or your product. So you guys are kind of just both filling each other out. And then when they ask for an actual quote, you just hit them with your real price. So
boom, you got to be in the room, for
right.
them to know that you're there. So, okay, next question is, let me see if I think I can press it and show it. Well, I thought I could, maybe not. But anyway, so Shannon asked, what steps do you take before submitting a bid? Do we want to go, because this is more like step 2.5. So I guess we can get into it. So what are some of the things you do? Like not just the source it, find it, but is there something that you do? Like, do you go over stuff with your business partner? Well, I'm sure you probably do, but is there like a checklist that you have or something like that?
Honestly, each bid that we do, it's slightly different. There's no, at least for us, there's no like general checklist, but kind of like what I said on our last conversation, we do steer away from bids that look like they're set up, where like if you see something in the verbiage of the contract that's very specific, like deliveries must be made at 2:15 by a red truck with the letters RUC on the side and one busted hubcap or something. Like if you see something crazy that's very specific, get out of there. Like it's a setup. Like it's not a real contract. And you'll sometimes these contracting officers, as much as I mean, I believe in the federal government. I believe all the governments that they got full faith and fidelity of whatever they're trying to do. But at the same time, there's people in there that are setting people up for their cousin Tommy or Uncle Susan or whoever it is. And they have very specific stuff that they put into these contracts that you're not gonna win. You don't have a chance in hell. Like it's not gonna get to you. So that's the only thing I try to stay away from. Just read the contract, see if you can do it or not. But again, if you see some very specific verbiage that makes no sense, don't waste your time with it. So
Fact. Okay, that's good. I'm glad you kind of steered it that way. So just as far as like submitting bids, like you have to pretty much read what they're asking. That's if it depends on what your industry is. If you're in products, if you're in services, there's the solicitation usually, especially on the local side, is going to tell you exactly what you need to do. So it's the answer is in the solicitation most of the time on the local side. So what was some? Don't forget the super chat and make sure everybody has liked this video if you're coming in just now. Shout out to Joe. What's up? I'm so glad you could make it. And let's see. Steps before dealing with that right now. Christina, what you talking about? We want to know we want you to share. And how easy is it to get federal grants to help boost your business? We're not really talking about grants because I'm not a grant expert. I don't know if you're a grant expert, Brent.
no, I'm not either. Only grant I ever used was like the Pell Grant for college, but that's another story. But hey, only thing I do know though is check with your local library. I know they have like a grant find, at least in my city. The local library has like a whole grant finding room, really, and the librarians are have some kind of special search engine that finds grants for anything. And it was like mothers that want to have a gun or something like that. And I was like, there's grants for like it was random stuff I was like never even thinking of. So just look it up and see if your local library can help you with grants. If that's the thing you're looking for.
I hadn't thought about that. You can also check out grants.gov, and sometimes they'll come through on social media as well, like random looking for brick and mortar Black female owned businesses. They want to give $10,000 to you or something like that. So something like that you may be able to find, but that's not really what we government contracting and grants are like. They're cousins. They're like third cousins. It's like kind of the same, but not really. So we're not really on it like that. So Lisa Coles asks, do you have to have a capability for local and state contract? I'm not sure if you mean capability statement. You must mean capability statement. I'm not sure if you're just saying capability. So can you clarify that?
Yeah, I would just say if she is talking about a statement, yeah, you definitely, that's your resume. That's like your calling card. Other than like handing your business card, this is your body of work of what you've completed, thus far. And this is what gives that warm and fuzzy to the contracting officers. Like, hey, these people are capable. They've done this many jobs before. They've worked with these many people. So yeah, and throw it everywhere. Hey, shoot it, attach it to emails, put it on everything. Like I got an email that like it's just greetings from Archie Supply, and it just shows us her website and has a capability statement attached to it, and you just send that. Even if I'm giving them a paper version or whatever, because you gotta have, this is still sales at the end of the day. And it's all about how many touches you have, which is like how many interactions with the client. Like you got the hello, then you got the business card, then you got the your capability statement, then you got your follow-up email, then you got your follow-up email that includes your website, and that includes your capability statement. Then you got your follow-up if they still haven't responded from that. Like you don't want to be annoying, but at the same time, don't be afraid to keep following up with people, because I mean, people are people. Like they got 1,000 of you sometimes, like, and you just want to get moved up into that stack. And sometimes it's not so much that people don't want to do anything with you; they just might have forgot about you for whatever reason. So don't take it personally. This is all business. But yeah, just keep trying to have that constant contact or whatever. If you don't have a mail service or something that like a CRM to help you do that, there's like MailChimp, Constant Contact. Just find one that works for you so you can keep being in whoever you're trying to pursue's face.
That's fact. And like, they say it takes 7 touches. If you remember, well, those who are in Georgia, I don't know where everyone's from. I know there's a couple of y'all in Georgia, but when it was time for us to vote, I swear to God, like every YouTube commercial, they were coming to our door. They were every commercial everywhere on the radio. It was rough for the local election, and it took about 50 times, like, because I was like, I wasn't trying to hear it. Like I wasn't in the right place, the right time. I believe in voting, I believe in voting locally at least. And I was like, it just took them. This one guy came to the door, and I'm like, what? He's like, ma'am, if you just vote, we'll stop coming to your door. And I was like,
oh man.
Literally, he said they're not going to stop until you actually do it, and it'll be registered in whatever system they have. So anyway, it takes 7 touches. So yeah, let them tell you, look, I ain't got nothing for you. Don't email me no more.
Right.
Almost. If you're emailing them daily or weekly, that's excessive. But I would say quarterly or maybe monthly.
Right.
Every other month or something like that, so you can be at top of mind. You want to be top of mind, just like this was the real free world, so make sure that you guys take heed to that, because sometimes, like you said, they may forgot about you and they're busy, and then someone's like, look, I need you to find me a janitorial company right now, but I called you yesterday. So you're like, oh yeah, boop, Sheena. That's what they're going to think of automatically. You doing all right, Brent?
Oh man, historic over here.
What's that?
I'm feeling historic over here. We changing lives.
Look, and make sure y'all, the super chat is open. So go ahead and hit that, and go ahead and hit that like button on this video, please. It helps push the algorithm. So Lisa said, yes, thank you. She was talking about capability statement, and thank you. So is it Advantage Property Group said, doesn't that put a blemish on your CPARS record if you don't fulfill it? You want to answer this or me?
Nah, because you never. Is he talking about like if you turn down a contract? I guess.
Probably, like, explain both.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah. If you sign for a contract and you say you can do it and then you don't fulfill it, yeah, that puts a blemish on your record. But if you never signed up to say that I'm gonna do that body of work, then no, it doesn't affect you at all. Nothing ever happened. The contract never was signed. You were never a part of it. You might have been awarded it, but you never accepted the award. Like you were never there. So.
Yo, that's deep. Okay, so also CPARS is federal, right? So
Yeah.
Brent has been talking a lot about local. So local, that's completely irrelevant.
It doesn't even affect that either. Yeah, it's 3,000 different systems, really. Like,
right.
Yeah.
And then, like he said, you haven't said that, yes, we agree to this contract, just like any other contract you would do. So yeah, it doesn't damage that if you were never officially a part of it. The only time that matters is if you have a bid bond. So a bid bond, that's really popular in like construction and facilities like I do. So if you're saying that you're bidding on this contract, you're essentially promising to fulfill it. after it comes back for you to sign. So when it comes to bonding, a bid bond, not a performance bond or whatever, but a bid bond, you're saying that you are going to start on this project, execute on this contract. So that's the only time that it would bite you in the ass. But other than that, and then bid bonds are at the local and the federal level. So it really, CPARS is also still not even a part of this. So, but thank you for that question. That was an excellent question. Castino said he was talking about the banks wanting you to have a W-2 reference or anything with getting money from them. That's true. You have to have that paper trail essentially. So, did you want to elaborate on that?
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, more for like if you want to start buying real estate, it's easier to show like consistent income with a W-2, even if you are making all this money from contracting. So I would recommend like, hey, switching over. I mean, you can still take company draws or again, ask your accountant before you do any of this stuff. I'm not an accountant.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. But what I would recommend, what I would say in general is banks typically it's easier to work with them if you have a W-2 because they're used to dealing with people with W-2s. The majority of borrowers in this country go off a W-2. So now when you come in with your, oh yeah, I got all this money in my pockets, I got all this money everywhere, I got money falling from the ceiling, you look crazy. Like they're like, oh, okay, we understand you got all this money, but like our system isn't built for you. So it's all about fitting into their system so that you can get what the resources that you need out of them. And I think the easiest way to integrate yourself into that system is to look like everybody else, kind of. And you're in a position where you have the power. You, at the end of the day, you know how much money you're making. But I mean, so you can fit in their system, just go ahead and break yourself off like a little 80K or whatever, 100K or whatever you want to set your salary as. And and then just go from there where you fit in, you're making enough money, and your W-2 looks in place, and then that way you can get the loans or the mortgages that you're looking for. Because I'm telling you, like as a self-employed person, they get kind of scared because they're like, well, we know there's millions of dollars there, but that could be gone in like a heartbeat. So that's kind of what their fear is, from talking to different underwriters and different lenders.
Right. And in the accountant video, she mentioned you need to be the highest paid employee in your company unless you're hiring like a scientist or a doctor or something. So that's just one tip she said. Again, not an accountant, but
hey, I mean,
you need to make sure that you're following whatever rules depending on what you're trying to do. And so Brent, of course, when it comes to anyone has bought real estate, especially when it comes to like anything other than your primary home, it gets real tricky. And even more tricky when you're talking about like essentially is apartments is kind of like commercial, right?
Right. That's the Wild West of real estate there, man. There's all types of rules and laws that happen over there that traditional real estate, residential is more scrutinized than commercial property. So yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. It's different. So it's I guess easier if you got the money, but it's different.
Right. Gotcha. And that's the easiest way I can describe it.
He's like, we ain't going there. Look, I want you to real quick. I'm gonna ask this question, and I think I can put it on the screen. Yay, I can put it on the screen. Okay, so when starting out and doing local, would that include neighboring counties and or neighboring states, or just your own state and county? That's actually a good question.
Oh, so that shout out to my sister. Yeah, that's my sister right there. Yeah.
What's up, Erin? I've been reading your stuff. What's up, girl?
Hey, yeah. What's up, Erin? Yeah, we're starting out and doing local. Yeah, I'll go for neighboring counties. Like, so I don't know how many people know about North Carolina, but I'm in like the central area called the Triad. And I mean, I've done business with the closest city that's close to our size is High Point, and then there's Winston-Salem. And I've done business with both parts of those. So yeah, like I said, when you get in this game, spread your wings, spread your net. Go for everybody, shake hands with who you can. You're basically the politician of your business, or if you're not, find someone that is and get them out there to these meetings and stuff so that your company's name gets out there, because that you're the latest and greatest of whatever you do. but you got to put that into your community and into that ecosystem so that everybody else knows that you're the one that they need to call on. So, but yeah, big sis, you need to know that, man. Come on now.
Right, like come on, represent the family, represent the brand. You know? I might do the same thing. I'll be like, let's rehearse right now. What does mom do?
Right, throw me the alley, yo.
Right. So that's a great question. And thank you, luxury card store. Okay, I'm gonna read your question in a second. So let's go to the next one. Guys, Sean said, do you do trade shows? And if you do trade shows, have you found them to be worth it? Another excellent question. Kind of like in War Dogs when they were like, we trying to find the people with the bullets.
Right. I would definitely say like starting off, I went to a lot of them. And I would recommend going to them to get your name out there. Now what happened that kind of got weird was like around COVID time, like not so many people started showing up to them, and then it was like kind of awkward where I think there was a point where we were wearing like red, yellow, or green armbands or something weird where it's like how do you approach somebody, because it was like you couldn't shake hands and like you had to know. So during that time, we kind of just held off after that because we were like, yo, this is weird. Like, and I'm not trying to be outside looking awkward, like, oh, here's my hand and you're wearing a red one and now we're playing like a game of Simon Says or whatever. Like, I would definitely recommend, like, if you're able to, especially the local trade shows, go to those, go to the ones in your state if you can afford them. I mean, I remember when I first started this thing too, there was one out in Wilmington, which is about like 4.5 hours away. I woke up at like 3 a.m. to go drive out there or whatever. And like I said, again, it's your business, man. It's where you want to take this. So it definitely won't help. I don't know what you're selling or whatever, but it definitely won't hurt signing up for the trade shows and showing the world like what you got. Because I mean, at the end of the day, one sale could really change your life. I was back at that first medical conference that we were at, where the director of the VA was at. There was a guy that invented a toilet seat that was for disabled people, and he got what is it? One of those contracts that's like no definitive value, no IDIQ. There we go. I couldn't think of it right now. Yeah, so indefinite order, indefinite quantity type thing. And again, that I thought I won a lottery ticket. That man, you couldn't tell him nothing. And it was like a 70-year-old man, just he looked like he got new legs on him or something. You could probably put him in the NBA draft the way that dude was jumping around. And I was looking at his toilet seat contraption and everything like that. And it looked pretty simple, but I mean, again, the man engineered whatever he engineered and he got the contract for it. And it was just one day, he just brought his thing up. He was like, I've never won any contracts before. And he ended up walking out of there with it. So I would definitely say, again, go to the trade shows, go to the ones that make sense for you. Like, obviously, if you're selling auto mechanic parts, don't go to the medical trade show, go to the government mechanical contracting one, because they have stuff for all these different specific industries. Just find out where they're at and try to go to them.
Yeah, or if it's a it's just saying whatever your product is, it's a government contracting show, because I've seen those where they just have a whole bunch of agencies there. It's not specific to an industry, so you can present your stuff there too. So that's really great. I know I got some inventors in the group. So, and it could be something, like you said, where you just change one little thing. I think all of us, at least conceptually, have thought of something to tweak a thing. And you might say, you know what, I'm going to put some money behind this. And then that's going to be the thing I sell to the government. So that's not too far of a reach. I mean, like you said, a toilet seat is like, okay, there's probably a bazillion. Like when I've had to go to a medical store and buy an alternative toilet seat for my grandmother, and I'm like, oh Lord, how many different type of damn toilet seats do they have? Like it wasn't something I was familiar with, but for someone who understands that community, definitely, they have a gem and they just tweak that one thing. Like if this toilet seat would be perfect if it had blah blah blah. So all my investors out here, I want you to keep that in mind for sure. So remember everyone to like this live. Brent is dropping more than just government contracting gems. He's dropping lifestyle stuff. Lifestyle. Oh, yeah. Hit that super chat.
One other thing on if you do have inventions, you don't have to do the R&D on your own. They got some projects like what is it, SBIR and STTR or whatever, that like different government factions can help you develop whatever you're trying to make. Now, granted, I think some of the research goes to them because they're funding it or whatever, or I don't know if they end up automatically being the only person that can buy your product or something. But, you know, make sure you have your patents in place and, you know, talk to a lawyer too. But there's definitely some grants and funds out here where I think you can get up to like $3 million or something like that, depending on what the funding source is between those projects. It's SBIR and STTR.
Yeah, that's I went to a conference here recently and they said basically the SBIR, you said TTR are kind of like angel, and they're like investors for your invention. Like if you think about a what's the word I'm looking for? It's not angel investors, venture capitalists,
right?
For your invention, and they fund everything, and you just have to have like a proof of concept.
Right, and and I went to a conference back in the day for one. Like one guy, he figured out like some special kind of gum to give crabs for they were having reproduction problems, and he made like a gum that helped the females reproduce at a higher rate or whatever without having any problem with the ecosystem. And they talked about like the different funding routes that went through. It's like he got $400K up front. And then he got like another, once he got to the second phase, I think he got like another 800K. And then the third phase is when it went off into you make your millions or whatever. But again, just exactly. I was like, who would have thought? You know, that's what I'm saying. Who's thinking about these things, right? Like, but all it is if you can solve a problem that is happening out in the community, that's what you need to do. Versus, there's so many situations where people try to create solutions for problems that don't exist, and then they wonder why their product never sells. Like, what was it? I think I've seen Thanksgiving in a bottle like 17 times. Nobody's wanting that, man. Like nobody wants
what? What in the bottle?
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving. Yeah, it's this stuff called Thanksgiving in a bottle. I don't know if they sell it anymore. But basically, it's like your whole Thanksgiving meal, like blended up into a drink. And I'm like, man, only if your mouth shut, wired shut, like, do you want that? But even then, I'm sure you don't even want to go that route. But I've seen it fail. Like in my lifetime, I've seen it in like 3 different iterations from some places. But I just say, look, go find what the problem is and then create that solution instead of creating a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. That's how I leave.
That. Dee just said she couldn't hear us. If y'all can hear us, just please hit like the hearts or say, yes, you can hear me. Because that would be so sad if we dropped all these gems and you can't hear. So let me know if you can hear us. Hit the hearts or a thumbs up or something. I see hearts. So okay. Dee, I don't know what's going on, but people can hear us. Thank goodness, because I would have been crying. Because we done already done with this.
Hey, part 3, I'm gonna need some of those super lights, yo.
He said, "Pay me, f you pay me."
Right, hey.
No, you that's legit. So, again, luxury card store. Put your plug out there. I'm all about the people. So, if you're setting up your first business and don't have prior experience fulfilling products, what would you put on your capability statement? Actually, a great way to ask that question.
So it's saying if they didn't have a product, what would they put on the capability statement?
Right.
Again, that's where I would just lean into. I mean, if you're really trying to do products, make some sales you got to have like somebody, you got some friends or somebody, and you can just be like, hey, buy 500 pens for me or something like that. And I mean, at least in state North Carolina, it costs $125 to set up an LLC. So look, I mean, $125 plus whatever the cost of goods, you got your friend over there, you got them set up with a business, they can buy from it, and then you got past performance. Like if you really want to get gritty in this stuff, like it's there. Like you can make past performance for the cost of, and I hate to keep using Jordans, but like look, like for less than the cost of a pair of OG Jordans, like you can make past performance happen. Like shout out Mike if you ever give me a chance. Look.
Hey, look, next time, I told you next time we might not get Brent, because if Michael Jordan reach out to him, we're gonna be like, please come back. But that's a good point. Look, make past performance, okay? Like I'm just gonna say it. and take this how y'all will, but between me and my circle of friends, we made past performance.
Right.
You just got to make sure you can fulfill it. Now, if you go out there and say, Sheena said that she sold me the best pens ever, and then you go out here and you a dud and you're not fulfilling the contract, now you got us both looking crazy. So
right.
Yeah, make it work. Just like he said, you can make it happen. Cool. So, and thank you for that super chat. Look, make sure if you joined late, you just joined, go ahead and hit that like button and drop some money in this super chat. Okay, the little box with the $sign. So Shanita, she doesn't have a question. She said Winston-Salem is where she's from. You must be a G-borough. Is that like a common thing? Is that how y'all say it?
Yeah, Greensboro, G-boro. Yeah, it's all there. Shout out Winston. Hey, try it in the building. There you go. Trade 4. Look at y'all.
That is hilarious. And eventually she wants to do service in that area. So for those who don't know, there is another live that I did with Shanita a couple of weeks ago, doing fantastic. She won 4 contracts in less than 60 days, 90 days. So, and she's
congratulations.
one of my GovConNOW students. So she just listened. She listened, and now she's reaping the rewards. And I was listening to your audios that you sent me. I was just so tickled because a lot of this is on the job training. There's not enough anybody can tell you, or that a book you can read, or a course that you can take that's going to give you every single answer to the questions that are going to come up and the problems that are going to come up. Stuff is so situational. It's not funny. You got to be agile. That's probably one of the biggest things you need to be is agile. You don't need to know how to write a stellar proposal. You don't need to know how to, a lot of this stuff you guys have done just in the regular world, and it's essentially similar. No one's going to beat you up if you don't fulfill this contract properly. Just get out there and do what you need to do. Okay. All right. Shout out to Joe Bake. I see you. Thank you for the hearts. Oh, she said trade 4. Y'all funny. So any more questions for him while I'm pulling up my question? I wanted to talk about set asides. So you're not 8A, right?
Not yet.
But you want to be 8A.
Right, working on it. Yep.
Working on it. Okay, so remember, y'all, for those who joined a little bit later, Brent has made so many millions, he don't even want to tell us because he don't want nobody coming to ask him for no money. So, and he doesn't have 8A. So remember, like the path to righteousness is not necessarily through 8A. And also, he has mostly local contracts, made millions of dollars on the local side. Even if we're just talking about that one contract, millions of dollars on the local side. Okay, so it doesn't have to be one way. And he's saying he don't even have 8A yet. Once you have 8A, I know I'm not going to be able to get you back on this call because he's going to be like, he's like, you're right. So right now, which certifications do you have?
Yeah, so I only have SD, VOSB, which is Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business, Minority Business Enterprise, which is MBE, Hub Zone on both federal and state level, and then Veteran-Owned Small Business, which goes in line with Service Disabled Veteran Small Business. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of set-asides either. I just got some key ones. And then the only other thing that we work with is the Ability One product line. Which
Ability One, yeah.
Right, which helps to employ persons with disabilities, American with disabilities. So they might be blind, or they might have lost a limb or the ability to use certain limbs. Like I said on the previous podcast, I mean, these people are not only grateful to work, but they are proficient workers. Like, I've seen a lady putting together a 7-file accordion style folder, and there's some parts of this device that she has to use to put this folder together that will chop off your hand. But this lady is able with no problem just to maneuver, put the thing on in the right place time after time after time. And I'm over here, cognizant of my abilities, able to move my hands, my arms, good of vision with my glasses on, whatever. And I know I would mess that up in a heartbeat. My hands will be gone. Like, she's been doing this, I think, for like 20 or 30 years or something like that. So I was like, I got to be a part of this program. Like, just seeing that you're making that impact for these people to live more independent lifestyle is like a huge thing. And like going to these different factories and seeing like, different people that might be blind or might be missing an arm or whatever it is, and they're still, you know, not only thriving in the workplace, but just passionate about life. Like those are some of the happiest people I've been around in a lot. And I'm like, and that's what really gets me too. A lot of times when fully functioning people, I mean, I get we all got emotional stuff and we all got stuff that we're going through, but I'm like, there's people playing this game called life without an arm, without a vision, without the ability to talk correctly because their jaw's messed up. And you're over here complaining because you had a bad day at work. Like, lady, let's talk. Let's put stuff in perspective. You know what I'm saying? So between that and you know, I still think about people that lost their freedom, that get locked up for whatever they've done or whatever mistakes they made. It just puts stuff in perspective. Did you really have a bad day, or did stuff just not go your way and tomorrow's still coming? Like, and I guess that's my mindset through all this stuff. Like, even if I did have a quote unquote bad day, there's people that have it worse than me, like at any given point. So I can't ever put that on somebody. There's no need to yell at your spouse, yell at your kids, take it out. And I get it. Like stuff gets frustrating. I mean, I've had my kid break furniture. Like I'm sure y'all got nice furniture, whatever, too. But one day my son moved the dresser, broke the mirror off. You have one of those moments where you like, all right, I love him. But I guess you want to go see where he came from, you know what I'm saying? So you just got to take one of the moments back. But then at the same time, you're like, okay, in the grand scheme of stuff, this all can be replaced. And I know he didn't maliciously, you know, try to knock this stuff over. And I get it. You just have those snap instances where you're just like, whoa, what just happened, you know? But hey, like anything in life, like most stuff can be replaced, you know, just know, you know, the ones that love you and they rock with you and that you'll get through all this stuff. Because I'm sure whatever you're going through, 6 months, a year ago, you probably still ain't having those same problems. Don't get me wrong, there are some long-term problems, but at the same time, I will say that stuff I was going through work-related or whatever in this contracting world, some of the people that we were dealing with 6 months ago, we haven't, the check already came, we spent that, so we already moving forward. Like, it's no problem. That's all I want, is people put stuff in perspective.
No, I love that. That is so true. That's true with everything. And you know, again, just being a business owner is hard, yo. Like it's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for everybody. And you might
Right.
find it out very quickly when it comes to government contracting, because the difference between, for me, the difference between government contracting and maybe some other industries, for those who know me, I've been, well, I mean, like I didn't buy a franchise at 21, 22, but I've been doing like hustle stuff since I was 12. And so I've always had some sort of business or side hustle. And like government contracting was the fastest way that I reached. I mean, I could reach six figures in 30 days, you know, the very first contract. So it's really like, okay, can I really handle all this? Like there's a lot to manage there, especially if you haven't seen that much money. And if you get into the 7, 8 figures, you know, there are people out here who have won their first contract with 8 figures. Everyone says they want all this money, but yo, can you handle a $10 million contract if you
Right.
want it tomorrow? Like that's the question that I ask people. If you were to win a $10 million contract tomorrow, could you execute? Okay,
Right.
so let's figure out, let's dial that back. And if you can't, let's dial that back and see where should we start. We're going to start with maybe something at the $10,000 range, which is totally fine because that gives you everything you need, your past performance, all that, you know, whatever, or even go lower. So that's absolutely, you know, key. And then Ability One contracts, for those who that went over their head, that's an application process as well. You're hiring those with, you know, disabilities, and those contracts. I mean, besides the morality of it and the karma points that you get for, you know, almost like a giving back type of thing. Those contracts last for a very long time. I mean, even I remember in the building I worked in as a soldier, we've had the same janitorial company for the 15 years that I've been in and out of that building. And they said, don't even dare to try to put that thing back out for bid. They was like, stop, don't even do it. They have to trump everything. So if there is Ability One type, if you apply, and I'm not sure the exact process of that, but like if you just start with looking up Ability One and find your way through that, then those contracts last for a very long time. Okay, so remember, anyone who's just joined, go ahead and hit that like button, super chat. We got about 10 more minutes of Brent's time before he cuts me off. And we're gonna go ahead and put up boop. Kaishan said perception is key. Fact. That is fact. So do we have any more questions for him? Because you mentioned You have the you don't have the 8A yet. You're working on it. You have the other certifications. So those certifications, have you yielded contracts based on those specific certifications?
Right. So I will say with those certifications, they use that sometimes. You can use it as a justification for even having a higher price. Going into this contracting game, I wouldn't.
Run that back.
Yeah, using those certifications, you can use those to justify having like a higher price uh, for your commodities than say people that don't, because you're also utilizing your business. You're saying like, hey, because of whatever outstanding what social constructs that have faced me that make my business have these set asides, I'm doing a service that takes this much more effort to complete, and and in turn the government recognizes like, hey, we're actually helping these usually disenfranchised. Let's call it what they are. So set asides are basically like disenfranchised tokens. Like they're like, oh, we realize we've oppressed you, or this area has been oppressed, and whatever. And what they're trying to do is use those to help, I guess, right the ship of morality in this country or whatever. But what they're trying to do is take those set asides, and they all have a certain percentage of their budget that they're supposed to allocate towards um, the certain set asides. So the more set asides that you have, the more bubbles that you check. So, I mean, if you're a female veteran, my goodness, that yes, hey, you guys like
Turn up for me.
hey, claps to y'all.
Good, but like, okay, so that's deep. I did not, the way you just put that, where it's like, hey, it takes me a little bit. It's gonna be a little bit more challenging for me, being especially a Black female veteran. It's gonna be a little more challenging for me
Right.
to get pens than it would be a white
For,
male, right?
right, for Chad, yeah.
So, oh, for Chad, Bob. So, no disrespect, right? But
Right.
okay, so what does that look like in my solicitation? Am I putting, because this is new? Look, always going to be a student, right? The way that you just put that is new to me. So how am I expressing that? Like they know it, essentially, but how am I expressing that? Am I putting that in the proposal or?
Yeah, no, I mean, you don't have to put like, yo, this is harder for me to do. Like, you don't put it like that, but you do put your set asides in there, and you just justify your price and stay on your price. Like, put it like this, like, okay, obviously you can't be like outrageous with your price. Like, you can't be 200 times percentage like whatever the other people are. But like, I'd say like a safe range is like maybe 10 to 15% higher.
What you mean? Like I've never heard this before. I've never heard that specific thing before.
Yeah, no, because they have to allocate. They have to, or they're highly motivated to hit these thresholds with their budget. So whatever the set aside is, to answer Mr. King's question, yeah, oh, reference weapon, but yeah, you can use it as a weapon to justify your higher pricing. Um, just because you're not only helping complete the service for them, you're also helping for them to meet their budgetary goals. Because if they meet their budgetary goals, they don't get penalized. Like a lot of these different government entities, they get penalized if they're not allocating the right amount of their budget to different programs, like the woman-owned business, minority-owned business, and all that stuff. And if you're in there with 4 or 5 set asides, like, hey, bro, we trying to spend with you, you know what I mean? Like, because you're helping us meet our goals so we can get a bigger budget for next year. So that's what it is.
That I didn't really think about it that specific. Like you hear it, but I didn't think about saying, guess what? They're gonna charge me more on this side anyway, so I need to charge you more. So that's like super dope that you're sharing that. Like that deserves some super chat. Go ahead and somebody drop some money in this super chat and make sure you hit like, okay? So who is this? Callie, I have, and I'm a newbie. So I'm not sure what you mean by that. But with that, so you said you have won actual contracts based on your set aside.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's also your ability to perform too, but like, and they'll never specifically say, oh, you won because you're a hub zone, or you won because you're a minority. Like, you can't You can't
Like
say,
you've been
like
on
no one
set
can.
aside, like you've been on set aside contracts, like solicitations like that, and
Right.
one or
Yeah, I've won solicitations where when we look up the other companies, they don't have any set asides, and we have a set aside, and we have all those set asides. And again, you'll never hear directly from the contracting officer like you won because you're a hub zone, or you won because you're a disabled veteran, and what like now the only place that you might hear that from is from the VA, because it is their, I mean, that's what they're there for, is to help disabled veterans. But everybody else, they might have specific reasons they seek you out, for whatever it is. And so just be aware of that, and put your why not, you're living what your set aside is. You might as well be, put it wherever. And don't be afraid of that. Like, you're you are a woman, you are a veteran, you did all these things. Like, you're not lying, you're not making some stuff up, and you've been certified. So it's a selling point.
yeah. So and I've been a part of so many programs, whether they were veteran programs or just out here in the economy, like business programs, and it's always that back and forth of, well, don't lead with that. Like, don't lead with saying that you're black. Don't lead with saying that you're a woman. I mean, you may or may not know I'm a woman when I submit my documentation, but don't lead with being a veteran. You got to lead with your value. But then it's like on the other side, like you said, I am that though. So how can I not present myself with what I am? Like, why block that if you're telling me that at least the federal government is saying we need to meet these goals? So I need to hide it, but then not hide it. Like, I'm playing double dutch with hiding who I am based on how you feel in the moment. That's how I feel when I'm going into certain situations, that I can't always lead with, saying that I'm a minority business or a veteran business when they don't know off rip that I'm that. So in your experience, do you like say, hey, black veteran right here? Like, how do you usually like, how are you just like you're leading with your value, but then you're putting it in like line two? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how are
Yeah,
you?
but yeah, no, because I know what you're talking about. So like, there's people that I've gone to some of the trade shows and stuff, and they get up and they're just, you don't even know what they do, but they're like, I'm a woman-owned, veteran-owned business, and somebody needs to award me a contract. Just tell that out loud, and I'm just like, wow. And
So don't do that.
yeah, that like I don't know what happens to that lady. Like, I don't think anything positive happened there or happened for her. But like, no, like, it's one of those things. Make sure you emphasize it. But yeah, lead with what you can do. Like, hey, I sell office medical janitorial supplies. Oh, and by the way, I can help you meet these goals in your budget that I know are budgetary constraints that you have a hard time filling. And if you spend money with us, it would be multiple values. Not only are you getting a quality product, but I'm helping you meet your budgetary goals. Like, you can put it like that. And like, look, it's a two-pronged. That's what I'm saying. It's another selling point. That's all it is. But yeah, don't go out there, yo, I got yo, I'm a woman-owned veteran. You better spend money with, like, okay, that's cool. What do you do? Who are you, ma'am? What where'd you come from? Like, what is this? So
Fact. No, that's fact. It's just definitely leading with the value, but really highlighting that I'm also solving that problem for you because I know it's a problem. So stop acting like it's not a problem that you can't necessarily fulfill the veteran set aside and the woman owned, because I know the hub zone is always under filled, if you will. So I don't have
right.
hub zone, but I know that was something that's always mentioned in every conference that
And
they need.
check that hub zone map, because like where I started, I mean, when I started doing all this stuff, I was in a 2-bedroom apartment, man. Like, I made millions out of a 2-bedroom apartment. And the
Talk
hub
your
zone map,
talk
hey, the hub zone map, I got a Chick-fil-A and a Harris Teeter, which I don't know where y'all live at, whatever, but Harris Teeter is a pretty nice, grocery store. And Chick-fil-A is like within walking distance of my house or my apartment where I was. So I'm like, look, hub zone doesn't necessarily mean you're in the hood, or you're just in a disenfranchised area that historically has underutilized business. That's literally what the hub means. And for that, you can get allocated. Again, it's another selling point on these contracts. Like, you're helping all these government entities meet their goals, so they're looking for you. They're looking to use you.
looking to use you and you use them right on back, right?
There
So we
you
got
go.
like one more minute. So last few questions, if you can. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so go ahead and ask those last questions that you have. Again, if you haven't already liked this stream, please like it. It helps with the algorithm because that's what we doing this for. And we're doing this to help y'all out, to make these millions of dollars. So we can be
Facts.
like Brent and buy apartment buildings and whatnot and
Hey,
have
man.
impact, right?
There
That's
you go.
important. That's important. When you get to a certain like that, I feel like when you first start making some money, you're like, bet I can buy the stuff I need. Then it's like, oh, now I can buy the stuff I want. Now I can help the people around me. And then when you get to a point, like you said, after you done bought everything off of Fashion Nova, you're like, oh, well, you know what? I need to start giving back, or I want to start giving back. I want to see how else I can be impactful.
And I mean, even giving back doesn't always have to like mean you're emptying your pockets. Like again, you can create situations where you're winning while still giving back. Like I say, I mean, there's stuff with like the VA where you can find housing for veterans. Look into like the HUD-VASH program and stuff like that. It's like a special Section 8 for veterans and stuff like that. I mean, there's so many programs. There's nonprofits that are helping other veterans out, and you can partner with them. Like I said, there's so many different ways you can attack this. Like you don't have to empty out your own pockets to help the world. So
And sometimes these organizations just want time, just for you to help fill bags, So just if you have the ability and the luxury of, like, say you're working in your business and you're working from home and you have more flexibility in your day than you do if you have a 9 to 5, then I would say invest your time. Start with investing your time, and
right.
and that leads you. So we have Shanita asked, or what she said, she has HubZone, still trying to figure out how to use it. So I know you mentioned you got to kind of let them know. And also, I think Shanita has MBE or DBE. So she explained on the live that she, pretty much has another contract coming in for that. So that's a great way, the same type of way that you would need to that you're using the DBE is the way you kind of use the HubZone. Of course, HubZone is federal, but the HubZone is local and federal, right? You can use it on the local
Right.
side.
So we have in North Carolina, yeah, we have hub zone that's federal, and then there's a state hub zone through Department of Transportation. And once you get certified through that, that's a state's own hub program, and they recognize that, and you're on like an exclusive vendor list that they call, and it's helped us win contracts just because you're on like a shortened vendor list.
Right.
So,
Right. All about that vendor. Register as a vendor everywhere.
oh
Okay.
yeah,
And
facts.
everywhere within your area. I mean, I have contracts in multiple states as well as providing services. So we just bid on stuff that we just bid on stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, what is that now? So yeah, you got to just make sure that you figure out how you're going to fulfill it, but definitely register as a vendor everywhere. So any last questions before I let um, Mr. Archie go? And can you give us some parting words or anything you want to leave the people with? I know you have so much knowledge about everything, but anything that you could leave as a last to do.
Oh yeah, sure thing. Like I said, it's a contact sport. Get out there and play. Reading all these podcasts, listening to all the like reading all the books, listening to all these podcasts. That's great and everything, but you'll never know this until you get out there and you put your first submission in, and either you won or you just got to hit the drawing board again. That's it. Again, like treat this like dating, or if your dating life ain't too colorful, treat this like treat this like a job. Like, and it's not even if any of y'all are into boxing or anything like that, it's not about throwing, that knockout punch every day. Just you gotta just keep jabbing. Like that's what it really is. If every day you're just at least submitting like one contract or going to one conference or doing like one or two things for your business, that's huge. And if you multiply that effort times 365 days, that's over 720 things that you've done for your business in a year. You know what I'm saying? So really just trying to keep that pace. And like Sheena said, like, yo, this is a very, very taxing business, like being your own business owner. But don't let that get you down. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, every day is a new day. Every minute, every hour is a new opportunity. So if nobody's knocking down your door, you know, you need to be making phone calls, make 50 phone calls a day, send out emails, gather emails, make you a newsletter. You should be doing something. But still, there's so many different ways. Like Sheena said before, like my company, I don't even have GSA, I don't have 8A, I'm not on any DLA contracts, anything like that. And again, I made a phone number worth of money, like whatever, like it's around. So the money's out there for you. And I promise you, I started with less than you. Like all I had was $2,000 in my name and some credit cards, and we went from there and made it work.
A dollar and a dream.
That's what it is.
My savings account had 4,000. Like that was all name.
Yo,
and
gosh.
That's like, ooh, I don't know how this is gonna work, Lord. But I was able to get in advance. It never happened after that, but it was all divine because that doesn't typically happen. So don't come back to me a year from now and you didn't do at least half of those things he just said. You got a whole year. It's almost a new year. So I don't want to hear any more excuses. For real. Like get started on something. If you can't commit to something every single day, commit to something every single week. Pick a day out of the week where you're like, you know what, today for 1 hour, I'm going to focus on this and then build from there. Because as things start to progress and happen, you're not going to have any choice. You're going to be thwarted into your business stuff. And those who still have a 9 to 5, I was working 9 to 5 for 2 years before I fully transitioned. So, you know, you're going to get to that crossroad where you have to make a choice. So, you know, keep going, keep pushing them out. You know, you want to be impactful and you want to be impactful for yourself as well and your lineage and your family. So I don't see any more questions. We went over time, but this is like so awesome. So I appreciate you so much. And he said we need to do a series. So there's going to be more of these coming up. Yo, because I'm going to be like, give us more, please. Like we really, this is really good as far as like your like real mental state when you're going through this stuff too. And you drop more than just government contracting knowledge. So I'm going to go ahead and till next time, you all, thank you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And thank you, Brent. And make sure you stay on because we're going to talk.
Oh, I got you.